Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another worst game in my collection video where I invite other YouTubers on my channel to talk about the worst, absolute, crappiest, lousiest, lamest game in their collection. I have an all-star lineup this time. Now, I've got a lot of crappy games in my collection. Now, I'm Atari 2600 completist, so there's a reason I have Sneak and Peek, a hide-and-seek game in my collection, and I have Skeet Shoot, a crappy skeet shooting game in my collection. Because I'm an Atari 2600 completionist. I'm trying to get the whole collection. But why in the world do I have the biggest loser for the Wii and You Draw Studio? I don't know. Get rid of them. All right, without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to who I'm having on my channel today. Jakejames Lugo is here talking about the worst game in his collection. Super friendly guy. I've never met him in person, but he reached out to me a while back to collaborate. Awesome dude. John Hancock, a good friend of mine for a few years now. And the worst game in his collection is one of the worst in mine. Papa Pete appears today. You guys need to subscribe to Papa Pete's channel. Great guy, really friendly, awesome Canadian. He's on here talking about the worst game in his collection, which is up north. And Adam Koralik, holy cow, what a nice guy, super popular YouTuber. Now, he didn't have to do this, but he was on vacation. He's traveling, he's on this epic journey, and he took the time out of one of his days traveling when he was staying in a tent to talk about the worst game in his collection. Super nice guy, very nice of him to do this. I appreciate that. Now, I know Adam, met him at Mo Game Con, see him at different shows and things. Great guy. And last but not least, you guys have got to see Mr. Wright Way here on my channel. Last and definitely not least, he gets on here and talks about the worst game in his collection, but he also has a little surprise for you guys at the end. So be sure and stay for this entire video. Now, check it out, the worst game in these guys' collection, and I will see you guys after it.
Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Jakejames Lugo, and as a connoisseur of video games over a long period of time, I tend to avoid adding bad games into my collection. But every once in a while, we get those little ones that creep in here and there, and we just end up holding on to a very, very, very bad game. And for me personally, probably the one bad game I could really point to in my collection is WWF Attitude for the PlayStation. You see, I come from a family of real big wrestling fans over many years, and even though I know wrestling's not for everyone, it did have some decent to pretty good video games at various different console generations, including the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo, as well as also the PlayStation. But this is definitely one of those games from that point in time during the Attitude Era where the wrestling games for the WWF were just not good. They were just absolute trash, absolute garbage. They were straight up not fun to play, not fun to control. There was a whole bunch of stuff that was wrong with them. It wouldn't be until much later on when we would get the AKI and the THQ stuff that was happening with the WCW games, including WCW NWO World Tour, as well as also WCW and NWO Revenge. That ended up, whatever they were doing with that game, that engine, getting transferred over to the WWF games, in which we got WrestleMania 2000 and WWF No Mercy. But before that even happened, we had this piece of garbage. We had this and WWF Warzone for the N64. And this game, what's so bad about this is just that it's just very much not fun to play. It just controls like trash. It controls like garbage. It's just really, really annoying. It has the roster of wrestlers that we all came to expect back then during the Attitude Era, but it was just so complicated to do some of our favorite special moves. Like, how are you going to tell me you need like at least 5 inputs to do the Tombstone Power Drive or the Rock Bottom? When later on, when we ended up playing WWF WrestleMania 2000 or No Mercy, it was just a simple few button presses. This one just overcomplicated things in an engine that was way outdated and just completely inferior to what was happening with WCW at that time. So if I had to choose one bad game in my entire collection across all different consoles, it would be this like little bundle of joy, and I mean no joy whatsoever. So anyway, hopefully that helps you guys out. Avoid this like the plague. Completely toss this in the trash if you can. So thank you so much, Brett, for letting me be a part of this. I will see you guys again, hopefully, very soon.
John Hancock here, and by far, hands down, one of the worst games in my vast collection is Firefly. This is a budget release for the Atari 2600, and I have to say, this game is terrible. Bad music, annoying, grating music, stupid idea. It gets boring after playing it a mere minute. I highly recommend this if you want to play some of the worst games out there. Firefly is it. And so if you're into bad games, check it out. Otherwise, avoid this at all costs.
Hey guys, Papa Pete back again today. Thank you so much, Brett, once again for having me on your channel. This is a really interesting subject, really. It's kind of really subjective, you know, the absolute worst game in my collection. When I think about the worst game that I have, it's not just strictly a game that's unable to be played. There's other factors that are involved with that in my mind. Some of the things that really affect my decision to choose the worst game in my collection is how much disappointment the game has caused. And you know, you can look at different games I've talked about in different videos over the years about how games like Atari 2600 Pac-Man, which isn't a terrible playing game, but it was such a disappointment at the time, makes it one of the all-time worst games of the Atari 2600 in my opinion. But for my absolute worst game, I had to choose a combination of bad gameplay and disappointment. And for that, I'm choosing Donkey Kong by Coleco for the Intellivision. Donkey Kong is an absolute fabulous arcade game that I played back when I was a kid. Really enjoyed it. Everybody did. So after Coleco released it on their ColecoVision system, everybody's really happy with that port. But in order to make as much money as they possibly could, they kicked off ports for both the Atari 2600 and the Intellivision. And knowing now, after looking at what they've done since with DK Arcade and other homebrew versions of this, man, this game right here was a massive disappointment. I actually just recently covered this game in an episode of my 125, which is a YouTube series where I'm looking at the 125 different games that were released for the original Intellivision system between 1979 and 89. So check that out if you want to learn more about Donkey Kong and this original Coleco version. Anyway, Brett, thanks again for having me on your channel to talk about the worst games. A lot of people are going to say, that's not the absolute worst game I've ever played. Well, no, it isn't. But the disappointment that it caused when you compare it to the original Donkey Kong, as well as the ColecoVision version, and the later Intellivision homebrew versions, makes it, to me, the absolute worst game in my collection.
Hey Brett, this is Adam here, Adam Koralik on YouTube. Thank you very much for having me involved with your video. So, never mind me, I'm on the road. I'm actually staying in a teepee tonight. How cool is that? Anyway, so the question before us is, what is the worst game that is in my collection? And I had to actually sit there and think long and hard about that, because obviously I have a bunch of sports games and stuff like that, and not a big fan of those. But most of the time I don't go out of my way to buy bad video games. But if I do, it's only because I'm trying to complete a set. And the one that's stuck in my mind, the one that I use as the definitive example, is a game called Orange Blossom for the Sega Dreamcast. Just some anime date sim garbage. I don't speak Japanese. I don't like date sims. I don't like anime. And for some reason I have to have this game because you don't have a complete set without it. Now there's tons of those, but why does that one stick out to me? It sticks out because it's really expensive. Now, and I bought it back when it was cheap, a mild, $80 or so. Now, I don't know, Dreamcast stuff is insane. I've never seen that game since, so I'm sure it's even more expensive. So it's not so much that the game itself is really, really bad at what it's trying to do, it's just that everything about it personally sticks out to me as just the worst in every possible way when coming to try and get a video game. So I'm going with Orange Blossom for the Sega Dreamcast. Thank you very much for having me involved with your video, Brett.
What is up, everybody? My name is Mr. Wright Way, and today I want to talk about what is my worst game in my collection. As you can see behind me, I got a really vast collection of physical games. I got a lot of digital games too. Now, as collectors, we are known to buying bad games to complete sets, And I bought my fair share of bad games. But one bad game that I took out and played is, oh my goodness. This game is the Drizzlings. And it's a racing game. Now you would think racing games would be fun, energetic. I mean, just at the time, graphically impressive. Not this game. This game is horrible. And the game is Rascal Racers. This game is so horrible. The only good thing about this game is increasing in value because it's kind of rare, because they didn't make that many. And I can see why. They knew when they was making this game that nobody was gonna play this garbage. This game is slow. It's horrible. Oh, I just wanna not gonna do it. Woosah. No drama. Definitely this game was inspired by Super Mario Kart. I mean, what kart game isn't inspired by Super Mario Kart? That's the best kart racing game of all time. But this garbage right here, somebody needs to like take it and blow it up and just never ever release something like this again. Telegames, this is the worst game of all time, but it's collectible. But before I go, I do want to give an honorable mention to all of the Madden games. Yeah, that's right. I don't like football. I like wrestling, a real sport.
It doesn't matter what you think.
So, Brett, thank you so much for inviting me on your channel to talk about these horrible games. Yeah, these are horrible. All these Madden games, yeah. Ain't even that game. Ugh. I need some sanitizer. And always remember to do it the right way. See you later. And I need some sanitizer. I just touched these horrible games. Nasty. I don't even put them on. I'll see y'all. I gotta go wash my hands.
All right, guys, what do you think? I would love to know in the comments, what is the worst game in your collection? And of the 5 titles mentioned today, have you played these? What do you think of them? All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. And if you're not subscribed to all the guys featured in this video, be sure to do so. These are some awesome YouTubers, friends of mine, awesome folks that you guys need to check out. All right, thanks for watching. Thank you for liking this video. And thank you for subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate that. And if you know some YouTubers that might want to be on my channel talking about their favorite game of all time, or the worst game in their collection, have them contact me. And if you're a YouTuber yourself and you want to be on, let me know. I would appreciate it. We will talk to you guys in another video. Thanks for watching. If you're a fan of my work, you might want to consider supporting me on Patreon. For just a low fee each month, you get a lot of extra content. Another way to support the channel and my writing career is to buy books direct from me, including the 100 Greatest Console Video Games, the Classic Home Video Games series. It's like an encyclopedia set. And this massive bad boy, the NES Omnibus Volume 1 A through L. I will put links in the description of this video where you can buy books direct from me and where you can support me on Patreon. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.